Now that we know how to manage inventory cost, we also need to learn how to manage the quantity. Remember, inventory management involves managing two things. The first one is the cost, which we have dealt with. We said you can use EOQ, you can use bulk purchase discount, you can use just in time. But now we need to learn how to manage the quantity. And why is it so much of a topic? I said the reason is because we don't want to have too much quantity and we don't want to have too little. So we want to have the best quantity, not too much, not too little. What we want to have is what we call the optimal level of inventory. That is what we want to achieve. Because when we do this, we can manage our holding cost and at the same time our ordering cost. And even stock out, we can manage stock out, because if we have too little, then stock out might be a problem. That might be a big risk for us. Yeah. And what are the methods? How do we do it? Now, I've reminded you why we need to manage the quantity. Then the same approach we've been using. Now let's talk about how. How do we achieve that? There are three methods again to manage the quantity. Very important that you know. The first one is the min-max method. This is just saying you need to know the minimum level, you need to know the maximum level, and also you need to know what we call the reorder level, which I'm going to touch on. Right. The second approach is to use what we call the two-bin system. And the third one is your popular JIT again. I've explained JIT in the previous video, so that is fine. So I'll focus on these two again in this recording. Now, let's talk about the min-max approach. What this is talking about is, if you are managing inventory, we need to be able to determine the maximum amount of inventory we need to have so that we don't have too much. Because when we have too much, our holding cost will be high. So we need to determine three levels: the maximum level, we must know the minimum level, and we must know the reorder level. These are three different things. Maximum level is your cap. It's saying that you must never have more than that at any point in time. You are not allowed to have more than that quantity of inventory. The minimum level is saying this is the least level of inventory, which means you must never have less than that at any point in time. We also call this the safety level. It can also be called the buffer level. That's another word, because different textbooks might use different names, and I don't want you to start getting confused like you are learning something new. It's the same. Very important. And the reorder level is just the point where you need to place your order. This is the point where you ask your procurement department to place an order. Yeah. So your reorder level is usually between your max and your min. Because minimum level is your worst case scenario. You shouldn't be getting to your minimum level because you're already at risk. The best time is your reorder level. Because I know students confuse these 2 and 3 together, and that's why I'm taking time to explain it like that. Take for instance, if you say your maximum level should be 5,000, then you ask yourself, what should my reorder level be? Let's say you get 2,000. I'm going to give you formulas for all these levels you need to know. I'm just using this method to explain before we get into calculation. So your reorder level is saying how many units should be in stock before a fresh order is placed with a supplier. So we say, okay, let's say we must have 2,000. Once we get to 2,000, then we need to place an order. And we are saying order quantities always say, let's say 500 or 1,500. So which means we'll add 1,500 anytime we get to this point, and this takes us to 3,500. But which is still less than our maximum level, so which is fine. However, if maybe someone slips off at this point and did not place an order at 2,000, you must have another level, which is called your minimum level. At that point, an alarm must sound. An alarm must go off in that building, because minimum level might be, say, maybe you're 500, and in that case, you are at risk of stock out. So this is like somebody screaming to say, you must place order now. So this is your risky level, and that's why your reorder level is usually between your maximum and your minimum all the time. Yeah, so remember, your maximum level is the maximum, which is the cap. Yeah, the cap, the largest amount of inventory you must have. Your minimum level is the least, which you must never have less than at any point in time. You must never have less than your minimum level of inventory. And like I said, your reorder level, let me give them a code. So I'll call this max. This one I'll call it min. Yeah, and this one is reorder level. Yeah. So your reorder level, like I explained to you, I said, what this is saying is, I want to answer this question for you. The question is that how many units? Let me write it down. You get what I'm saying? How many units should be in stock? That is in the warehouse before a fresh order is placed. Before a fresh order is placed with our supplier. And there's something I want you to realize here. We are talking about order is placed. We are not saying order is received. Because that's another point of confusion. Because I'm going somewhere with this. Because we know that when we place order, it's not the same. If you remember the cycle, ordering cycle, it's not the same day we place an order that we will get the order. Look at the cycle, if you remember. Yeah. We place the order here with our purchase order. But see, before it's going to take some time before we receive the order. There are two different times. Yeah. So it takes time from when we place order and when we receive the order. And that is telling you about what is called the lead time. That is called the lead time. It's a concept you need to know. That is called the lead time. And lead time is the duration from ordering to receipts. So if you place order on Monday and the order was delivered on Wednesday, then that means you have a lead time of about 2 days. Yeah, I say Monday to Tuesday is 1 day, Tuesday to Wednesday is another day. So you can say your lead time is 2 days because it's taking 2 days for your order to come in, 48 hours for your order to come in from the day you place that particular order. And that is the concept of lead time. Plus, it's very examinable. Can give you options and say which of these options explain what is lead time. Lead time is the time it takes from ordering to delivery or to receipt. Yeah. This is also called delivery. Okay? Please take note because this will be applied as we move on. Let's quickly look at a question to explain this concept, and I will introduce formulas now. So look at this company that has this data. This is usage. Let's say it's usage per day. yeah, usage per day, and the lead time of his order. This company has this data that says that the maximum, not maximum level now, I'm talking about maximum of this data. So the maximum usage every day is 1,000, and the minimum usage in any one day is 400. And they also told us that the maximum lead time since this guy has been ordering is 10 days. So which means it has never taken longer than 10 days to receive an order from the day the order is placed. And the shortest, which is the minimum that has ever happened, is 2 days. Now let's use this information to calculate all those our levels. This company has its reorder quantity. Remember, reorder quantity can be bulk quantity or EOQ. So every time they want to place an order, their reorder quantity is always 12,000 units. Now, using this information, let's try and calculate our reorder level, our max level, and our minimum level. So you understand those three levels that you must learn how to calculate. Let's deal with this quickly. Let's speak about reorder level first. Remember what I said about reorder level? What reorder level is trying to answer is what is the number of units you need to have in stock before you place a fresh order. You need to wait for that level, because if you don't wait for that level, you will have too much. And if you go lower than that level, you might run out of stock, especially if your reorder level is very close to your minimum level. And it's not always advisable as well to get to your minimum level, because you have the risk of also running out of stock. Because if you place an order and the order takes your longest lead time possible, then you will have a stock out issue. So the best point is always your reorder level. Please take note. And that's what we're going to look at now. Now, your reorder level is a very conservative approach, like you have seen. It doesn't ever want you to go out of stock. So because it's conservative, what this is asking is, how long is the longest possible lead time for us? In this question, the longest lead time is 10 days. 10 solid days. So which means that is the worst case scenario. That is the worst case scenario. Anytime we need to order inventory, the longest it can take will be 10 days. That's the longest it can take, 10 days. And the shortest can take is 2 days. But we are not going to work with 2 days. For the other level, we're going to be working with the worst case scenario, which is the longest lead time possible. And that is why the formula for the other level is saying, what quantity do you need? The maximum quantity you need, which is the maximum usage, and what is the longest time it will take to deliver any order, and that is the maximum lead time. So this is trying to ensure, reorder level is trying to ensure that you have enough inventory on worst case scenario before a new order will come in. Because we know that if we are operating on a unusual day where our consumption is always 1,000 maximum level, it means that every day we will need 1,000. And likewise, if it's going to take us 10 days to get a fresh order into the warehouse, what that means is that we need inventory that will serve us for, let me write it down. So we need inventory. That's what order level is saying. We need inventory that will serve us for the longest waiting time. Remember, lead time is your waiting time. That's another way to think about it. Let me put it here. Yeah, it's your waiting time for your order. Yeah, that will serve us for the longest waiting time at maximum consumption possible. So let's say we are consuming at 1,000 every day because the maximum possible, and we need to wait for a fresh order for 10, and then we need 1,000 times 10 as our reorder level. So which means anytime our inventory level gets to 10,000 units, we must place a fresh order, because we know that once we place a fresh order on that day, the longest waiting time possible is 10 days and the maximum consumption is 1,000. So we are guaranteed that we will be able to use 1,000 for the next 10 days, and by the time we are done with that, our fresh order would have arrived, and that fresh order will be 12,000. Remember, you're always ordering 12,000. Look at it in the question. Yeah, 12,000. Always ordering 12,000. So we are rest assured that by the time we finish consuming this 10,000, a new 12,000 would have come. And that is why you cannot have 22,000, because I want to say this. I know it's a point of confusion. I remember when I used to write this paper as a student, I would think, okay, if reorder quantity is 12,000 and reorder level is 10,000, then that means you will now have total inventory of 22,000. Does that mean that is your maximum level? No, that is not your maximum level. Because by the time you place an order at this reorder level of 10,000, you will start consuming. Consumption starts. You will still be consuming, even if you are consuming at the lowest amount possible, which is 400, and if lead time is 2 days, you still consume something. And that's why you can never add your reorder level plus your reorder quantity and say that is your maximum level. No, please take note. And that will take me to the way you determine your maximum level. I just had to say that because I know some students will struggle or might just be too smart, and which is good as well, to reason things out. So maximum level, you can see, yes, you start from the reorder level, just like 10,000 here, because reorder level where you place an order, which is your reorder quantity, this one. However, it doesn't end there. Now you need to deduct your consumption. However, the question is, what consumption will you deduct? You need to deduct the smallest possible consumption. I'm breaking it down like this so that you won't have to memorize so many formulas. Once you understand them, remembering those formulas will not be difficult. And what is the smallest possible consumption? That is the smallest amount you are consuming as a company and the shortest time you might need to wait to get another order. And that is why in a full formula, your max level is equals to your reorder level plus your reorder quantity minus, open a bracket, open a bracket, and you have your minimum lead time multiplied by minimum consumption. So in this question, our reorder level, we've calculated it to be 10,000. Reorder quantity is given as 12,000. However, we're going to consume 400 multiplied by 2. And that will give us a max level of 21,200 units. So what this is saying is that at any point in time, we must never have more than this. And we cannot have more than this because, like we said, if at 10,000 we buy 12,000. Yeah? Before this 12,000 will come, we will consume inventory. And we have seen that the least inventory we can consume in a day is 400. So, and the earliest this order of 12,000 can come is 2 days. So, which means we'll consume twice, 2 days before the new order can ever come. So, which means we'll have consumed this 800. And that is why our max level will be 21,200. So there's no way we will ever have more than this 21,200 at any point in time. The third one is the minimum level. Yeah, this is not your reorder level. Like I said, please take note. It's not your reorder level. This one is your worst case. Your best case to order is your minimum level, but worst level, yeah, which is dangerous. Let me put it like that, so that you see it like that. It's dangerous. It's the worst level to order. And what you are saying is that this is also called your buffer level, like I said earlier, or some people call it your safety level. Because anything lower than that, you are not safe. You are trading dangerously. And it's always less than your reorder level, because you must have consumed lower than reorder level. Yeah. And how do you calculate that? So because it's less than reorder level, your mean level will start from the formula reorder level, then minus. You must have consumed something, but we don't use minimum consumption, we don't use maximum consumption. Here we use average consumption, and that is average lead time multiplied by average usage. So which means we need to know, for us to be able to calculate minimum level, we need to know the average lead time and average usage. And what's our average lead time? We have, I think, 10 days and 2 days, right? Yeah, 10 days and 2 days. So that's 10 plus 2 divided by 2. Average is always something plus something divided by the number of those items. 10 plus 2 are 2, and that is equals to 6 days. Yeah? And your average usage is equals to use maximum of 10,000 and minimum of 400. Yeah, let me be sure. No, 1,400. So, yeah. 1,400 divided by 2. That's equals to 1,400 divided by 2. That's equals to 700 units. So which means our main level equals to reorder level of 10,000 minus 6 times 700. That's also 10,000 minus 4,200. That should be equals to 5,800 units. So this is our safety level. Anything lower than this, extremely dangerous. Because anything lower than your reorder level is already dangerous. You can be lucky not to be called out to be having a stock out situation if you are consuming at a very low level than your maximum consumption. However, you are trading dangerously. But if it ever gets to minimum level, there is a serious danger, and it's really difficult. Really difficult. Okay. So that is it with managing the quantity using the min-max approach. So just to summarize it for you, the formulas that we have dealt with, we've talked about the maximum level. I said the maximum level is equals to reorder level plus reorder quantity minus the minimum lead time multiplied by minimum usage. Then the minimum level is equals to your reorder level minus, because that has to be lower than reorder level, average lead time multiplied by average usage. You need to know this formula. And the reorder level is the one that is the easiest and slightly looking different. That's max usage multiplied by max lead time. Yeah, I remember these formulas can be interestingly confusing. However, that was why I took my time to explain to you, such that you don't have to mix it up. Yeah. Once you understand it, it's easier to understand the formula, and to memorize is also easy. Now let's look at the second method. We said there are three methods. There is min-max, there is 2bin, and there is JIT. Right? So we've dealt with this. This one I've explained in the previous video. Now let's quickly deal with this one as well. The 2bin system. So let's look at the 2bin system. This is a simple way of managing inventory. What this is just saying is that make sure you have 2 buckets of inventory every time. Yeah, not necessarily has to be a bucket, maybe 2 warehouses, maybe 2 rooms, maybe 2 bags. Just have 2 places for inventory. Yeah, you need to have your inventory. You start with both of them filled up, and what you do is you consume from one. Once you consume one, so one is empty, before you start, immediately you start consuming the second one. Yeah, so you consume this, so this is done, empty. Then you need to order. So immediately this is empty, you order, then you start consuming this one. Then it goes to this part again, empty, and this one is filled up. You consume this one again, then you order for this one. So that is the cycle you keep going, and that is what just the 2bin system is all about. It's as simple as that. I have 2 places, 2 bags, 2 rooms, 2 houses, 2 warehouses, whatever it is. Just make sure you duplicate your storage system. Consume one, leave one. When you finish consuming one, order for that one, start consuming the second one. That is what the 2bin system is all about. And that is all we need to learn on inventory management.